Hello and welcome to All Important Words, the podcast that helps learners of English master the academic word list. This is Jim.
And Bek, and today we've got another useful and interesting academic word to tell you about. Jim, tell us what the word is.
Our word for today is principle. Principle, which is spelled P-R-I-N-C-I-P-L-E. Principle is a noun in the academic word list.
I'm glad you spelled that for us, because I was actually thinking of another word.
Oh, you must be thinking about principle, which has the same pronunciation, but a different meaning and a different spelling. The word we're talking about today is principle with an L-E at the end. And speaking of pronunciation, why don't you tell us what we need to know, Beck?
Well, the listeners may have already made out that this word has 3 syllables, and the stress is on the first. Principle. 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 It's the same pronunciation in both British and North American English.
Easy enough. And among the several different meanings of this word, the one that's most common in academic English is the basic idea that a plan or system is based on. So, in other words, a principle is a basic idea that has an influence on the way something is done. And here's an example. Gandhi and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. shared a strong belief in the principle of nonviolence.
So, this means that Gandhi and King both believed in the basic idea that peaceful methods are the best way to change society or to change a political system rather than to use force.
Exactly. And it will probably come as no surprise to our listeners that some of the most common adjectives used together with principle in this sense include basic. We often say a basic principle. We also often say a fundamental principle.
Fundamental is similar in meaning to basic, right?
Right. And in academic English, you might also see the collocations a general principle and a guiding principle. A guiding principle would be a principle that strongly influences the way people think or behave.
I see. So we could say the guiding principle of Gandhi's philosophy was nonviolence.
We could indeed.
Jim, it seems to me that I often see this word used in the plural.
That's true, Beck. We often talk about basic principles or fundamental principles, general principles or guiding principles. That's the case in our next example. This course trains students to apply mathematical principles to real-world problems.
And once again, mathematical principles here would mean the fundamental ideas that mathematics is based on.
Yes.
And in terms of verb collocations, principles are things that we often apply to other things, aren't they?
Exactly. Apply is one of 2 verbs that are very frequently used together with principle. We often say apply a principle or principles to something, as in apply mathematical principles to common everyday problems.
We also often use the phrasal verb base on in the passive form with principle. We can say something is based on certain principles. For example, organic agriculture is based on the principle that food is healthier when grown without artificial chemicals.
Great example. Hey Beck, did you notice that here principle is followed by a that clause, which is often the way a writer or speaker explains the basic idea behind the principle. We say the principle that food is healthier when grown without chemicals, or the principle that learning words in collocations is better than learning words individually.
But it's also true that principle is often followed by of plus a noun phrase. For example, we could say here instead that organic agriculture is based on principles of health, ecology, and fairness.
Those are important usage points. And one more bit of usage to mention is that today's word is often found in a particular phrase. In academic English, you'll sometimes hear or read the expression in principle.
Ah, yes, I'm familiar with it. But how would you explain it?
Well, according to the Longman Dictionary of Contemporary English, if you say something is possible in principle, what you mean is that there's no good reason why it shouldn't happen, and yet it hasn't actually happened yet.
I think it might be clearer if we had an example.
Okay, here's one. In principle, the 1963 law gave African Americans their civil rights, but discrimination remained common in many areas of life.
So, in other words, in the law books, it said that African Americans had the same rights as other Americans. but the actual fact was that they were still treated differently and unfairly in everyday life.
Exactly. If someone says something is possible or should happen in principle, it doesn't mean that it will actually happen.
Having heard that explanation, Jim, I'm wondering something.
What's that, Beck?
Well, in principle, all this usage information should be helping our listeners to use these academic words more correctly, right?
Right. In principle, it should, because we're trying to base these podcasts on research and on principles of good teaching.
But do you think these podcasts are actually helping them?
That's a good question. Hey, podcast listeners, why don't you let us know? We'd love to get some feedback from you. You can connect with us through our website, allimportantwords.com, by using the contact link, or send us an email at allimportantwords@gmail.com.
You can also leave a comment on our Facebook page at facebook.com/allimportantwords or on Twitter at twitter.com/awlpodcast. Tell us if our show has helped you, and if so, how it has helped you.
You can also suggest an AWL word for us to cover on an upcoming episode, or ask any questions you have about using academic word list words. We might even read your message on the show.
That's right. We love feedback, so let us know who you are and how you discovered us, and be sure to tell your friends about our podcast if you think it might help them.
Until our next word, bye.
Bye.